सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Hari Om. Today we will be starting with the 5th chapter. Chapter 5 in my book, it's page number 53, but in the new edition, it is 57. So we begin with eliminating vasanas, the method. What is this method for? We just go back to the last two paragraphs. The tragedy is that the average man, in his ignorance, misuses this double-edged weapon and brings about his own annihilation. He uses it as an inlet and creates during his selfish activities performed with low motives a new stock of mental impressions. The subjective mind gathers a lot of mental impressions, which we call vasanas. And then what happens? Because there is already an objective mind where the situation, the experiences, they are brought to us, triggers a certain response from us, from the external. And this, the objective mind is watching. And then, before the subjective mind, there is a split. Before the subjective mind can act, something happens in between. This is what, given with our own selfish motives, we have our ambitions, we have our desires, we have our dreams, we have our past experiences, very little knowledge about how to, process all of this, in which direction, or what is best suited for us. Not knowing that, we collect more and more mental impression. And so there is a divide between the subjective mind and the objective mind. So an unhealthy mind divided in itself, as we explained earlier, becomes an easy prey to a host of psychological diseases. Weakened in its constitution, it becomes easily an victim to all contagion. So whatever happens outside, and the way we respond to it, we keep collecting and creating in experiences for us. A lot of it is within our control. So this is what, now if this is the problem, then there is also a solution. We must focus on the solution. Eliminating vasanas, the method. Vasana exhaustion, therefore, becomes the main scheme in self-improvement. How can we eliminate them? Before the elimination, how are we to purify them? Even purified vasanas should produce noble actions, leaving there our noble vasana incrustation. We are in chains, whether the links are rusted iron or polished gold. In the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we have a secret psychological method of eliminating vasanas, even while living a normal life, expressing the most powerful ones in us now present. The theory is simple, so simple that it generally escapes our recognition. In the din of the roaring activities, while we are in the workaday world, the onslaught of our immediate demands is so powerful, incessant, and overwhelming that we have no chance to see the obvious law in action in us. When any action is undertaken with ego and egocentric desires, the I and I want attitudes, that action leaves its impressions as a vasana in us, propelling a repetition of the same action. Thus, one drinks with an attitude of I am enjoying, I like it, I want to have it. Then you find him growing in his habit of drinking. An innocent village woman in hospital takes brandy as medicine daily for 6 weeks. And yet she does not develop that habit because she was taking it daily only for improving her health and curing her illness. A criminal mind becomes a professional murderer with each added manslaughter, while an army officer, though has killed many, never becomes a murderer. He in battle killed not for his own ego and ego satisfaction, but he killed in the defense of his country. Examples can be multiplied. It is a fact that an act in itself cannot have any impression upon us. But selfish acts prompted by personal desire gratifications do generate vasana encrustation. So beautifully written here. Read it again. It's important because as he has already explained here, Gurudev, that this is something so obvious, we overlook it. Day to day, we do not pay attention to it. We are lost in that rhythm of every day, me and mine, and what I like to do and what I want to do. So lost in it, we don't even realize when did these vasana incrustations take over our life so much. And why are we already caught up in so many ways in things that we had not planned earlier? This happens to all of us. The third chapter of Gita very subtly indicates this truth and suggests how best a man can immediately grow in peace and tranquility by catching in a spirit of ego surrendered, selfless enthusiasm, born of dedication to a higher ideal. Just as the rustic poor lady patient took her medicine dedicated to her quick recovery, just as the army officer shot dead many an enemy dedicated at the altar of his country, if a man has a higher ideal, surrendering to which he can act, no action can bring in new vasanas. Nay, the existing vasanas then explode and get washed away through the flood of their action. And see, this if we all practice regular, there is what I don't know whether we should call it a phenomenon, but in the past, I think 30 years or 20, 30 years, less than that also maybe, there is this collective thing caught up with people They are looking for new experiences all the time. Always want to do something new, something different. Bothersome this is. It's a disease actually. You have to do something different. Why am I saying this? Because we are constantly looking for experiences. I like this. I want this. I want something else. I want. Not enough time to process what is already going on and how to process that. Not paying attention to that. Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 is Karma Yoga. We all know it probably for a general knowledge question. That I need to apply that in my life, that is very rarely spoken about. In very well-informed, educated homes also. Missing. So if children are brought up this way, constantly, there is no need to look for newer experiences. Fill your life with it. With such kind of urgency and intensity, it's not required. But rather, what is already inside and what, let it unfold, let it come out. When a sapling is planted, depending on the nature or what kind of sapling it is, it will unfold on its growth. We must facilitate for the growth of what is already inside. We rarely let that happen. But we are so molded and sculpted with what is happening collectively outside. That pressure is so much, we want to fit in with whatever is the trend, whatever is happening outside. Barely giving. This only creates more and more vasanas, and more vasanas, more and more split between who you are and what you project yourself to be, the subjective and the objective mind. You are not ready to keep on facing the external situation with such a subjective. That is where the split in personality shouldn't. You should be in sync, isn't it? What you are is what you show. What you speak is what you do. What you think is what you say. And that is easy. That life is very easy. Life is beautiful then. There's no problem at all. But somewhere with our gathered knowledge. So for this, the secret of vasana exhaustion is called in the Hindu text as karma yoga. If we fix our vision high and in a spirit of surrender and dedication act, the mind gets purified. And as the vasanas get automatically exhausted, these vasanas, the storehouse of our repressions and suppressions, once exploded out into activities, thereafter, the bosom becomes calm and the resultant alert, vigilant, quiet mind is the field for intense and inspired meditation. What is a pure mind? It is when the mind is completely available to the task at hand. So you have a course you need to complete in 1 year, in 2 years. And if you have decided that's what I'm going to do, then that's what has to be done and you should be able to complete. We have chores which we keep postponing and procrastinating, and we had to do it. So when was it to be done? Yesterday, but I have still to do it tomorrow. This kind of a thing. Everyday chores have become like this. Then it's a burden on us. So when in a spirit of surrender and dedicated act, the mind gets purified. And always we must fix our vision high. We must have an aspiration level that is higher. Then this alert, vigilant, quiet mind is available for us for intense and inspired meditation. Such a peaceful mind discovers in itself automatically its meditation points. This alert mind is the theater for all institutional discovery. A new light of clear perception dawns in such a mind, and the deeper reality stands vividly revealed. A mind at poise is the sure instrument for material success, the smooth and straight runaway for the spiritual takeoff. A relaxed mind is what is going to make you successful in this world, in the material world, even if you are seeking success in the material. And that is 100% the basis on which you can take off your spiritual journey. Until then, it is not. Yeah. So the path of action called karma yoga is a highly scientific way of life which all of us can easily adopt when once we have understood its entire implications. The world of objects and beings remaining the same, every one of us, in whatever condition we may be at present, can learn to slowly grow to unbelievable heights, gathering to ourselves a new stature, undreamt by anyone around us at any time. When there are vasanas, there are thoughts in the mind, and they express at the body level in the world around as actions. If the vasanas are bad, thoughts are ignoble, and our actions are criminal. If vasanas are totally eliminated, then thoughts are no more, and therefore no more any desire prompted, anxiety whipped, selfish action. This state of actionlessness, because of a state of thoughtlessness, due to the state of vasanalessness, is defined as the state of pure awareness, the infinite reality. Very nicely worded, and we think it's also easy. Huh? But there is a lot that goes through this. It's not as simple to get into the state of vasanaless. The supreme state of peace and perfection is indicated in the Vedas as the state of no vasanas or the state of actionlessness. Early students of Vedanta may misunderstand that a dull state of important actionlessness is the state of reality. It's not so. Life is ever active and positive. Life is never passive and negative. Dynamic expressions in action is life. When all actions are ended, the organism is dead. While living, no organism can ever remain, even for a moment, without activity. Work without expresses the life within in every living organism. All work outside and activities of thoughts within one are stopped only when the organism is dead. To escape work is to escape life and run into death. It is suicidal. So here we must understand then what exactly is the state of vasanalessness, state of actionless, isn't it? Don't rush to think. Because now what is there to be done? I don't have to do anything. I am now studying Vedanta. I am in the pursuit of reality. So nothing for me to do, nothing for me to think about also. So, suspended brain is there. It is seeking to get active, but no thought. I have to be in no thought zone, whatever that is. Spirituality doesn't mean you have to suspend your brain, but to direct it in a way. And understanding, being alert, that it doesn't come from your actions, your thoughts are not driven from the vasanas. This is to be alert. To get to this state, you have to have karma yoga. You have to work selflessly. You don't have to join an NGO or become a social worker. You can do that at home. In fact, the family gives all of us a very good chance to become a karma yogi, to be able to do things for every family member as though he is the representative of God. Why? Herein, lot of opportunity to surrender your ego. But we hold our ego tight with those who are close and near and dear to us. And then go around looking for some NGO to do social service to prove to the world how selfless we are. Not required at all. The whole spiritual path is to drop, surrender your ego and egocentric actions, which can happen at home as a grahastha. People do ask, we are grahasthas, can we, attain to that state? So yes, we can, because that's your family, your community, your colleagues at work, all of them, whatever stimuli you are faced with is an opportunity. That's why I said, whatever the universe throws at you, if you can look at it as an opportunity for your spiritual growth, then no experience is wasted. No, every stimulus is required. Yes, initially it might be tough to be dealing with this kind of an attitude, but then you realize that things are much simpler when you let go of your own egocentric attachments. And one must act, not withdraw from life, not withdraw from world. Because that is another convenient route. People do in their own comfort zone, they want to. Convenience. So withdraw from situation. Immediately say, I don't get into this. I don't want any trouble. I'm not the one who makes trouble. So I withdraw. I don't deal with the situation I want to escape from. That doesn't help you work on your vasanas. Face life and its upheavals around you. Be active and tirelessly dynamic. Each exertion undertaken is a shooting spark of life from the well of existence in you. Fearlessly work with a clear vision, plan, and selflessly execute it. Fear not sweat. Hesitate not to face disappointments. Live life so long as you are alive. Grow through work. Evolve in work. Expand while striving. Make your own life thus rich and sweet. You can, you must. Fear not sweat. Ask anybody today. That is one thing I don't. Effort, hard work, easy money, yes. Conveniently done. Simple ways of doing. Everybody is tricking you to do something simple. Even all the food that is cooked. 5 minutes में बन जाएगा. 5 minutes में क्यों नहीं बना? Even that has to be quick. Everything has to be quick, instant. What is the result of it? Absolutely no way that we can hold our attention to anything for a longer period of time. How unfortunate that this mind is going here and there, here and there, here and flitting about here. And that mind which cannot stay steady on any one particular line of thought is a disabled mind. Re-educated values, readjusted mind. We have already found that as long as one has vasanas, one can never remain without action, even for a moment. Nature will prompt us with compelling force to act. Therefore, as human beings, in our present state of evaluation, we have, it seems, no choice at all between a life of inaction. Work we must. The only choice available for us is in choosing how to act. We can either act to the detriment of ourselves and for the disaster of all around us, or we can act to bless ourselves and for bringing at least a ray of smile on the faces of all others around us in the world. Act we must, but how to act is what we can choose. To the undynamic and the stupid, a life of least activity and maximum revelry would seem most attractive. This wrong tendency at a national level spells ruin and even causes a total annihilation of that nation. Members of the community must ever be on their toes to act, to work, to strive, and to achieve. Then alone can they reach success, productive prosperity, a valid existence, and a rewarding progress. To the undynamic and stupid, a life of least activity and maximum revelry would seem most attractive. So watch yourself. We are looking at this kind of life every day. It is very clearly said, undynamic mind, dull mind, stupid mind, tamasic by nature. One must be ready to think. In fact, when such people are easily controlled, such people are like as though they are addicted. People who don't want to think and who don't want to strive. You can easily control. Most people have been given the mobile phones with least payment for whatever, in India especially. Very cheaply available. The gas may not be available at home, water or electricity may not, but they have a mobile phone. Now all are lost in their mobile phones. They hardly want to work. This is the perfect environment for fooling the masses, for taking advantage of them, because nobody is thinking, nobody wants to put an effort into that. Where are we going? Why are we going this way? Is this what is recommended? Who is gaining? The ones who want to gain something will definitely. Unfortunate it is that the world around is so lost. We are all moving as though we are hypnotized. Collective hypnosis. We are under collective hypnosis, where even thinking for ourselves has become a great effort. I want somebody else to think for me. You tell me what has to be done. But nobody wants to strive and work hard. Perfect ground for all kinds of diseases, mental as well as physical. And you see that in the world around you, unfortunately. So then we must now try to understand how best we may work. In order to drive home the ideal way of life, Lord Krishna describes the true worker and the despicable types of hypocrites. In the Bhagavad Geeta, chapter 3, verse 6. He who refuses to work with his limbs, but sits brooding over the sense objects of pleasure in his mind, he, the deluded fool, is called a hypocrite. Krishna echoes the conclusions arrived by the great thinkers of all times. Mental immorality and indulgence brings about more dissipation of our vital energies than intelligent physical immorality and sensuality. One may claim to be morally good, honest, truthful, But if one is mentally entertaining immoral thoughts, dishonest motives, false pretenses, the personality dynamism in such an individual sinks low. And soon, he who might have been a person marked for success slowly and steadily sinks into incompetence and failures, all results of his own inner dissipation. As a contrast, the Lord paints the picture of the intelligent man who lives the life of higher values. Again, third chapter of Gita and the seventh verse, but who, controlling the senses by the mind, unattached, employs his organs of action in karma yoga, service of all. He, O Arjuna, indeed excels. Service of. So your value, your goal itself. If here I want to do this action, I'm compelled. But while working at it, can I see that many more are benefited by it? Instead of me alone getting the benefit of it. This is what Sri Rama taught all his life. Why are we told to do our duty rather than what we like to do? Because it teaches us to surrender this ego and purify our mind, have clarity of thought and strength of character. So for the benefit of many more, if I can, I'm anyway going to do this, I feel like doing this. Such action, can it be for the benefit of many more? Yes, that's a good. So here, I, me, mine, constantly doesn't come up. So this is important. The sense organs can be controlled only by the mind. The mind running out through the sense organs becomes our powers of perception and our inner ideas. Vasanas in us determine whether to get involved with the perceptions or not. The world of objects have no power over us. In fact, it is our own fancy for things that reflects from them as their powers to tempt us. At a show window, the woman's wear cannot tempt a man, nor will a woman be tempted by a shirt or a tie. Temptation for an object is only our reaction to it, isn't it? What is inside alone will, seek this outside. As this common example that I give, the family, you go to the shopping mall and then there are many shops. Everything is found under one roof. But as they enter, what is the child looking at? The child finds an ice cream parlor, or the child finds they have these kids zone games. Immediately the child says, I want to go there. And mother says, okay. But where is the mother? What shops attract her? The sari shops and the jewelry shops. And what about the man? He's looking for his own shirt and tie or some electronic goods or whatever. The same family, but each one is prompted by their own vasanas. This is important to understand. So the object outside actually has no power to pull you. It is what you want. And you see outside that you are attracted. So when there is an attraction, you must catch yourself. You must be alert. Oh, I'm alert. I'm always talking of these things. I am interested in these things. See, so many things are there, but my eye goes there only. You should know you have a vasana for this. And you must admit it to yourself. And it's okay if it is there. Because then you can think about what to be done about. Whether it requires to be indulged in or sublimated altogether. It cannot be suppressed. You have to look at ways of venting it, releasing. A man who has thus re-educated his values, orders his sense activities by his readjusted mind, comes to live a calm life, a master of the outer world, and is no more tossed about by the fluctuating environments. Such a man must therefore employ his organs of actions to work with dedication for the service of the world around him. What is this readjusted mind? So, having known that I'm tempted with all those beautiful saris in the exhibition, recognizing that how much ever I have, I'm not satisfied. I am attracted. I'm tempted to go and buy that other sari. Let me think again. This time, I will not do it. Come what may. They are beautiful and let them be. Or can I buy it and offer it to someone? I do that, then I say next time, it's okay. I find I gave it to 4 or 5 people. They didn't seem very enthusiastic or they didn't seem happy about it. So what happens? Let me not buy it. It's okay. So next time I go, I say, no, I'm not going to buy it because I don't want to reinforce the same vasana within me. I'm going to stop myself. I stop myself. And after a little practice, what happens? Suddenly I find I have crossed the sari shop without it pulling me. And I say, oh, there has been a change. So this is what we need to work at this. It's not going to happen on its own. But if we do not pay attention, are constantly going to the sari shop again and again and again, telling you it's an addiction, it can become a source of depression. This we must readjust. He must work in the world with a mind unattached. Asakti, we must develop this. This word is often used in the Bhagavad Gita, and unless we understand its full import, we are apt to misunderstand the entire philosophy of the Gita. We all have attachment to many things in life. I am attached to my mother, my wife, children, work, property. What do we mean by attached to the wife? What is attachment? Certainly, it's not physical. You and your wife are not physically grafted to each other. When we say we are attached to our dog, we only mean our mental attachment. Whenever I have a strong feeling of want for any being or thing, there is attachment. The intensity of attachment is always directly proportional to the intensity of demand want. Here there are two factors: I, the ego, and want, the desire to possess and enjoy. Thus, ego and egocentric desires together constitute attachment. So, this we must understand. It's a mental thing. We are not physically attached to each other. That we are not like, what are those fiancés? And we are attached. We're not physically attached. We are talking of emotional, mental attachment. And also, this attachment comes because very often it is already ingrained in us. No? You cannot do without this so and so person in your life. You have entertained some thought like this. Understand, nobody is going to live permanently in this. It seems not a very nice thought to have, but that is the fact. It is real. Isn't it? So even when knowing this, everybody knows this. In spite of that, we want and we encourage and we love. Why? Because we all love our illusions so much. We are very comfortable with it. When I'm attached, I want to see that others are also attached this way. Why I am attached to someone, I want to see that the other person is attached to me equally. Because it serves me. It serves my egocentric desire. Isn't it? If I say I love you and I don't get one response as I love you too, I'm very disappointed. But Shastras and masters say Just be loving. That's your true nature. Unconditional love. You don't even have to say, I love you, because you are love incarnate. But what has happened to us? Unconditional love is not possible at all. Barter system is possible. And depending on what I get from the other person, the level of attachment also increases. The more I get fulfillment from this person, the more I am attached. I cannot do without this person. Just look around. In all your relationships, somebody you don't like, not very attached. Isn't it? This is the kind of attachment that one should watch. Okay? Therefore, when Krishna says that a man of self-control who has tamed his sense organs through his mind serves the world unattached, it means that he serves the world without ego and egocentric desires and lusts. Such an individual excels because for him, the work field serves as a theater for the exhaustion of his existing vasanas without creating new ones. This is karma. The ego and egocentric desires in us generate vasanas, and when actions are undertaken without attachment, meaning without ego and egocentric desires, the existing vasanas get exhausted, and so no new vasanas are created. This purgation of vasanas brings peace and calmness into the bosom. A peaceful mind is not only more creative and irresistible in the material world of success, but it is again the vehicle to reach us into an ampler world of fuller awareness, of a larger state of consciousness. Such a person who is peaceful and calm, who has this equipoise and equanimity in mind, he is more creative. He receives answers to many questions. He is not bombarded with doubts and confusion. He's clear. He comes to recognize many things because he has worked out his vasanas. His vasanas don't cloud his mind and his vision. So his ways of thinking are very clear. He is one who is able to reach into an ampler world of fuller awareness. So understand this spiritual journey, each one of us can work and work. Don't just put it into us, inverted commas. This person is divine. This person is saintly. Every saint must have been a sinner. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. You can simply change your ways of thinking. It's all within you. Change your perspective, transform yourself with your own thinking. Once you apply it, all these lessons, you become thoroughly spiritual, truly spiritual in nature, not just talking about it. The spark behind the mind. The vasanas are very powerful. Even though we have studied the greatest books, Shastras, we will not be able to express the perfection that we know ourselves to be. It is always sullied by the stink of our vasanas. As a result, the identification with the mind and the intellect will continue, and the attitudes of doership, I do mentality, and enjoyership, I enjoy attitude, will maintain themselves in our bosom. Identification with the mind will give rise to the sense of enjoyership, and with the intellect to a sense of doership. These two put together constitute the ego, Jiva. The perceiver, feeler, thinker entity, the individuality. This vanity of agency and enjoyership is the essence of the ego. The ego is thus the final manifestation of the subtle and powerful vasanas in each personality. So whatever kind of vasanas we have is what we are going to express. And these two attitudes or mentality, as we call it doership and enjoyership. Kartritva bhav is doership. And bhoktritva bhav is enjoyership. Aham, I am the one. Aham bhokta. Aham karta. I am the doer. I am the experiencer. This makes up for the ego person. The self getting reflected in the intellect, the body, and the senses is the ego, which is the victim of the world of objects, feelings, and ideas. Ego rises when the pure self is not recognized, and this deep-seated ignorance in man not only veils his divine nature for himself, but also projects on the reality a positive misconception. The egocentric idea that he is conditioned by his own body, mind, and intellect is the true seed of delusory attachment. To rediscover ourselves to be really something higher than our own ego is to end all the sorrows that have come to us through our false identification. So here, what is Gurudev saying? This constant identification with the intellect, with the body, with the senses, no? I'm feeling, I'm experiencing, I'm thinking, these are my ideas, these are my emotions, these are my feelings, these are my likes, these are my dislikes, all to do with the sense organs and sense objects, is deeply rooted in ignorance. Ignorance of what? My true nature. Gurudev is saying our divine nature is not this way. It is made up of wisdom and unconditional love. But why am I not able to see this? Because this egocentric idea is there in the mind, conditioned by our own body, our own thinking, our conditionings only bring about this. And because of that, we are deluded. We think, I cannot do without this person. I cannot do without this property. I cannot do without this situation. These are delusory attachments. Our true nature is totally independent and alone, actually. It is not attached to anything. But how attached are we to everything in our life? Isn't it? Our attachments bring so much misery. Why is this misery also happening, and struggle and strife and grief? And we think, we call it natural. We say, oh, all this is normal. But for the realized person, this is all delusory. And that's what he wants us to wake us up. Don't be deluded this. Wake up to your true self. Then you will realize these were all imaginations. This ego itself is an imagination. It's an assumption that you are so and so. That you are this body, that you are this mind is an assumption. And this assumption is held tightly because nobody knows their real self. When they are in a collective, you have to wake up. You have to say, I am Atma, I am not Brahmin, Vaishya, Shudra. Because these are classes in society. I am Atma, I cannot be Musalman, Hindu, Sikh, Isai. I am Atma. These are identifications given to me by the world because I was born in certain family. The physical bodily thing, being tall, short, dark, fair, doesn't constitute who I am. But yet in this world, everyone engages in it. So that seems to be normal. So it encourages delusions. It encourages illusion. Don't get lost there. Therefore, we are told to wake up from the slumber. Jago mohan pyare. You are not even in your waking state, you are not really awakened. Awakening to your true self. In essence, who you are is the awakening. Therefore, it's called self-realization, self-recognition, self-awareness, self-knowledge. Otherwise, why do we need knowledge? I know who I am. My biodata says who I am. But my biodata talks about my body, my emotions, my intellect, my experiences, the knowledge I have, the degrees I have carried, all of that, which is not who I am. It is what has been accumulated as though that is who I am. Isn't it? So the self-recognition, to rediscover ourselves to be really something higher than our own ego, is to end all sorts that one has come through to us, that have come to us through our false identification. In fact, if one can just wake up to this and recognize this, spend time over this is the most worthwhile thing that one can do in one's life. You're getting married, getting a job, getting promotion, having children is all just anyway going to happen. If it has to. No great thing required for it. It's anyway happening. But can you wake up to who you are in essence? And this is the purpose of all religions. It has ideally to. We're not talking of the other dharmic thing that comes to control mind. We are talking of true spiritual essence. Everyone speaks of moksha, mukti, salvation. Different languages, you have different words for it. Nirvana. What is it? Moksha from what? From this false identifications. Clarity of who you are. After which you know everything. There is no problem in life. Life is truly beautiful. And you will act. You have the energy to do everything. You're free from sorrow. Thus, the eternal spirit in man, asserting its false relationship with his body, comes to feel bound by 1,000 relationships with the world of things and beings. The same perfect life principle, playing on the field of the mind, comes to experience the imperfections of the emotional world as its own. Again, the divine spark of life, assuming as it often does a false identity with the intellect, comes to sob and suffer for its hopes and desires, its ambitions and ideologies, which are the characteristic preoccupation of the intellect. If only man is fully aware of his all-perfect, omnipotent, omniscient nature, but he is ignorant of his real spiritual identity, and because of this ignorance, he feels himself imperfect, and the revolt against the sense of imperfection manifests itself as desires in the mental zone. It is well known that mere physical body will not move, grow, or act unless the life principle presides over it. A dead body can no more smile, eat or walk, think or feel. When once life has flown out, the body falls down and in a short time starts decomposing into the very elements from which it has come. This life center in each one of us is the sacred spot from which all activities emanate. You are now reading these words, mentally analyzing them, and intellectually understanding the same. None of these actions would have been possible if the life is not vitalizing the body, mind, and intellect. This divine spark of life, the spiritual center, is called the Atman or self in Vedanta and is represented in the diagram as Om. The diagram that is there in the next page, he speaks of this. So this divine spark of life, because of which the body functions, the mind and the existence of body, mind and life and intellect is also known to us, is because of this divine life principle, which is called Atman. This is the self. This is what we must be able to recognize. The force that drives the mind to whip and herd the sense organs, body, into the cesspool of sense objects activity is the intellect and its various schemes of happiness called desires. Again, these desires, gurgling up in the intellect, promising joy for their entire personality, are themselves the manifestations of the ultimate source of all conditionings, the motive urges deep in the unconscious and called vasanas. This level of our personality is called by the rishis as the causal body because it is the final determining factor that orders the type of mind and intellect called the subtle body and all the behavior at the physical level, the gross body. Which means what? Where are these vasanas? Very often we don't even know where it springs from, isn't it? Most of us don't know where these unconscious desires just came from. That I have a liking for this also, I didn't know. That this desire just prompted, and I took it for granted it is this what I wanted in life. But from where did it come? So the rishis call it the Karana Sharira, causal body, which compels or prompts the mind and the intellect, which is a subtle body, which is there but not seen, it's not tangible, but it's very much part of who I think I am. I'm prompted to act, think and act that way. And finally, all activity at the physical level happens through the physical body. Sthula Sharira, or gross body as it is called. So you see, this life principle also represented as Om, because it needs a name, needs a symbol. That's all. Our mind is so used to, can you just think of something that is formless, nameless, nirguna, nirakar, no form, it has no attributes, no qualities. If I tell you, think of that, which has no qualities, which has no definition, which has no name, so what am I to think about? The mind can only grasp forms, names, color, sizes. You see? Therefore, they've given it a name, a sound like Om, the symbol Om for us to recognize that. Till we come to really see it. Once we see it, then we know, oh, that cannot even be defined. It is beyond the mind, beyond the intellect. So the intellect cannot even comprehend it. But you can come to recognize it within you. This is the possibility. This is the potential. And this is the journey. So this life principle works through these vasanas, and the vasanas are in the causal body, Karana Sharira, influencing the subtle body, which is the mind and the pranas and the intellect, Sukshma Sharira, into activity through the body and its senses and sense organs of perception and sense organs of action, physical activity through the body, which is gross, Sthula Sharira. Right? So the causal level of our personality, the unconscious depth layer of our mind, is indicated in the Upanishadic discussions as nascence or ignorance, avidya. The ignorance of the spiritual essence and its infinite glory and perfection in us is the cause for our sense of restlessness, loneliness, fear, etc. And therefore, the intellect desires for the mind intellect desires for, the mind agitates with, and the sense organs indulge in the world of sense objects. So this ignorance or avidya is the cause for all our actions, desires, for the sense of lack. I lack something because I see it is very, very natural. That is where all this, why should I desire anything? Because I lack something, isn't it? I feel getting that, I'll be fulfilled. Getting this, it'll make me feel good. Because I'm constantly lacking something. The sense of lack itself has come from avidya. It is coming from our conditionings, from our causal body. Unconscious, that's why we call it depth of our mind. But once you recognize who you are, you simply transcend. All of these vasanas will simply dry. It will not sprout from there. Now, these thoughts and desires are simply sprouting from there. Because this recognition is not there. And we are constantly working with it in this world outside. But as and when we know that I am not going to give in more for avidya to express through me, I want more and more awareness, I want more and more knowledge expressing through me. I want that wisdom to express through me. So I go seeking that wisdom. I go seeking that path which will take me to recognize this within me. What happens? I don't act from avidya anymore. I am acting more and more from that space, which will constantly reveal itself now. Because I'm, for the first time, allowing for that to vent and not my avidya to vent, express. Isn't it? So read these pages again, go through, reflect upon it. Tells a lot about us and how we are spending our lifetime, our life energy into things which in the final goal doesn't take us anywhere. Our lives are also half lived, half experienced, where we are supposed to enjoy. There is so much sorrow also in it. It is always mixed. It is never complete. It is never fulfilled. Whereas once you come to recognize this, you realize that every moment is so fulfilling. Every moment is dynamic. By itself, it is this way. We miss this beauty because our mind and intellect is lost somewhere else. We need to redirect our intellect to this. So this is the spiritual journey. Read again and then we shall meet next class. For now, we shall conclude class. Okay. Oh, Namadas Pranamidam Pranat Pranamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Shanti.